Our top story tonight, the Department of Homeland Security issuing a national terrorism advisory, saying in part, the United States designated Iran a state sponsor of terrorism in 1984, and since then Iran has actively engaged in or directed an array of violent and deadly acts against the United States and its citizens globally, end quote. The advisory also detailing last week's airstrike in Iraq, killing Iranian General Qasem Soleimani, and highlighting ways to stay safe from Iran's promised retaliation. The statement confirming DHS does not have information regarding a specific credible threat, but also stating Iran and its partners have shown both the intent and capability to carry out operations in the United States. We did reach out to a former FBI agent and Knoxville native asking, should Americans be worried?
I would say there's a real threat. It's something that we've been facing since essentially Iran declared war on us in 1979 when they took over our embassy in Tehran. I mean, these things can happen anywhere at any given time, overseas and also here in the United States. And when you're out in public, the best thing you can do is, and this is regardless of any kind of terrorism alert, but just as a daily practice, be aware of what's happening around you.
Now, Homeland Security also revealing in its National Terror Advisory, Iran may attempt cyber attacks against the United States. And in fact, just hours after the advisory released, the organization announcing an apparent hack on a federal website. ABC's Stephanie Ramos has those details.
The Department of Homeland Security is now warning of an apparent hack on a federal website. The site displayed an image of President Trump bleeding with an Islamic Revolutionary Guard fist in his face. DHS tells ABC News in a statement, "We are aware the website of the Federal Depository Library Program was defaced with pro-Iranian anti-U.S. messaging. At this time, there is no confirmation that this was the action of Iranian state-sponsored actors. The website was taken offline." This comes just hours after the Department of Homeland Security issued a notice Saturday warning law enforcement agencies about possible retaliation from Iran, a document that had been in the works since the drone strike Thursday that killed Iran's top military commander. Local and federal officials have increased security in cities across the country. Some measures may be noticeable, some may not. But DHS recommends Americans stay informed while traveling, attending public events. They want you to go about your life, but also remain vigilant, be aware of your surroundings, know where those emergency exits are. Right now, authorities don't know what to expect, but they say the threat is real. Stephanie Ramos, ABC News, New York.
Now, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo speaking with CNN today, reaffirming his support of President Trump's order and the president's strong warning to Iran.
We're trying to restore deterrence that, frankly, is a need that results directly from the fact that the previous administration left us in a terrible place with respect to the Islamic Republic of Iran. Team Obama appeased Iran, and it led to Shia militias with money, Hamas, the PIJ, hundreds of thousands of Syrians killed by Soleimani himself. This was the place we found ourselves when we came in, and we have developed a strategy to attempt to convince the Iranian regime to behave like a normal nation. That's what our strategy is about. We've been executing it. We will continue to do so. We have every expectation that we'll ultimately achieve that goal.
Meanwhile, many United States legislators are speaking out against President Trump's action. Presidential candidate and Senator Elizabeth Warren questions the timing of the U.S. drone strike that killed Iran's top military commander.
I think people are reasonably asking about the timing and why it is that the administration seems to have all kinds of different answers. In the first 48 hours after this attack, what did we hear? Well, we heard it was for an imminent attack. Then we heard, no, it was to prevent any kind of future attack. Then we heard from the vice president himself, no, it was related to 9/11. And then we heard from press reports of people in the intelligence community saying that the threat was overblown. You know, when the administration doesn't seem to have a coherent answer for taking a step like that, and they have taken a step that moves us closer to war,
Iran announcing today it is abandoning the nuclear limits contained in the 2015 nuclear deal. This as Iraq's parliament calls for the expulsion of all American troops from Iraqi soil. Arwa Damon reports from Baghdad on the possible repercussions if both those items come to pass.
Parliament did vote for all foreign forces to leave Iraq. Quorum was achieved, but it was achieved by the presence of only the country's Shia parties, the Sunnis and the Kurds, deciding to sit this critical session out. The Iraqi caretaker prime minister himself was building the case for this very outcome, saying that given everything that has been going on, from the rising tensions between Washington and Tehran, from America's trying to put pressure on the Iraqi government to distance itself from Iran, from the airstrikes that took place on Sunday targeting that group whose leader was then killed alongside Qasem Soleimani, to those targeted killings themselves that the government views as not only being a violation of its sovereignty but an act of aggression against itself. This government has found itself in something of an impossible position. For quite some time now, this country has been stuck as a proxy battlefield between America and Iran, and when given what is, again, an impossible choice, it seems as if the Iraqi prime minister was calculating that it was going to be easier to a certain degree and in Iraq's best interest to ask foreign forces to leave, as opposed to try to disentangle itself from Iran's tentacles that stretch here both militarily and politically. What this move does, if and when the U.S. and other coalition forces do leave, is hand Iran a very clear victory. It also potentially hands ISIS another victory, given how central the role of the coalition still continues to be. And then, of course, there is the position of the Iraqi population. Even those who do not support Iran, even those who have been asking for an end to Iranian influence, find it hard to support this kind of U.S. aggression. Either way, whether the U.S. troops were to stay in Iraq, it was going to put this country in a very difficult position that was potentially going to lead to more bloodshed. American troops leaving Iraq also might result, potentially, in the same outcome. Arwa Damon, Baghdad.
Now back here at home, presidential candidate and Senator Bernie Sanders, along with another congressman, introducing legislation to stop any funding for offensive force in or against Iran without congressional authorization. President Trump stating on social media today, quote, "These media posts will serve as notification to the United States Congress that should Iran strike any U.S. person or target, the United States will quickly and fully strike back, and perhaps in a disproportionate manner. Such legal notice is not required, but is given nevertheless." Turning now to